Hey there, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. Come along with our triumvirate of terror as we descend into darkness, hurtle into horror, and plunge into peril. If you've ever had to clean a really dirty bathroom, you're in the right place. I'm Justin, and real G's move in silence by design.
Oh.
I'm Nico, and the pinball game from Windows 95 should go down in the Hall of Fame for one of the greatest games ever.
I'm Dan, and I would clean this place with gloves on.
Real fucking talk. Ugh.
And we're here today to discuss Willy's Wonderland. So this was directed by Kevin Lewis, starring Nicolas Cage as the janitor, Emily Tosta as Liv, Beth Grant as Sheriff Lund, Rick Wrights as Tex McAdoo, and Jerry Stanek as Willy. So we open with a character known only as the janitor. Now he's driving his boss-ass car down the highway when suddenly he hits a spike strip and his tires get popped. After some time passes, he gets towed into a small town. The local mechanic says that he'll fix the janitor's tires, but he doesn't take credit cards and the ATM doesn't work. So instead of paying cash, a local businessman, Tex, says that he'll cover the tab if the janitor spends the night cleaning the local abandoned Chuck E. Cheese knockoff, Willy's Wonderland. Now, I don't know about Chuck E. Cheese, but Nico, you know about knocking something off. Go ahead. What happens next?
My God. So, unbeknownst to the janitor, this is a trap. You see, Willy's Wonderland was run by a bunch of psychotic serial killers, and they'd prey on children and local families. Eventually, the cops raided them, but the killers unleashed a satanic rite and transferred their souls into Willy's Wonderland's animatronic animals and started killing the townsfolk. You hate to see it. Finally, though, the people of the town made a bargain with the killer animatronics instead of just fucking killing them there. And they bargained to lure travelers to the Wonderland in exchange for the killers sparing the town.
Well, I know one person who would never agree to that.
Nope.
Dan, what happens next?
Well, the janitor doesn't know shit about that, so he gets down to business cleaning. He is very meticulous and also takes regular breaks where he drinks soda, or pop, actually, and plays pinball. The evil animatronics begin to attack the janitor one by one, but he is a tough motherfucker and kills all of the challengers. Some local teens, led by a girl named Liv, come to burn down Willy's Wonderland, but they soon find themselves trapped with the janitor.
Trapped. Such a shame that band turned out to be a group of shitheels.
Real.
Yeah.
Real.
Nico, what happens next?
So, unfortunately for them, the teens don't last very long, and all of them die except for Liv. Fitting.
Yeah.
Liv's foster mother, Sheriff Lund, then shows up, and the janitor learns the entire backstory and lore of the Wonderland. But he does not care. Couldn't be fucked.
Meh.
You couldn't be fucked, you're right.
I mean, so the sheriff is killed by Willy, the boss of the animatronics, literally slices her in half. But the janitor, again, couldn't care less. He then brutally murders the remaining animatronics in swift fashion and then cleans the Wonderland spotless.
Well, one guy I know who runs a clean operation for sure is Dan. So Dan, how's this one wrap up?
Definitely not Tex, but Tex does come back the following morning with the mechanic, and they show up to Willy's Wonderland. Much to their surprise, the janitor walks out alive. A man of his word, Tex gives the janitor the keys to his repaired car. Liv stares at the janitor, and without a word between them, she also gets in the car, and they drive away. The movie ends with the janitor blasting Freebird as he shares one of his coveted pops with Liv. The end.
All right, well, let's get down to it. First and foremost, Nico, how does this one look?
So, while we were watching this, I was joking about how this looks a lot like an episode of CSI Miami, and it stopped being jokes very quickly because, holy shit, this is so incredibly orange and blue. It is overwhelmingly saturated, and not saturated, desaturated, and just like, I also said, again, somewhat jokingly, somewhat not, that it looked like when they were outside that the film was just dripped in urine or something. But I will say that for the scenes when they weren't just washed out, I did like the way the animatronics looked, and the gore was really well done.
Indeed. Dan, how does this one look? And quick question, what's a lens flare?
So a lens flare is a lighting effect that looks like you're looking into like a lens and it kind of like pops out.
Flares?
J.J. Abrams is the king of that, was the king of that until this movie came along. Pretty sure they downloaded the lens flare effects package,
Holy fucking shit, for real, man.
which was entertaining. And they've definitely played into it because like during the credits, like the whole screen was just a lens flare, and all the text in the credits had mini lens flares on all the letters and characters and stuff. That was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, I echo Nico. Very orange, very blue, very color.
There was also a few moments where the lighting would just intensify to 11 out of 10 for no reason and then transition to a completely different scene.
Yep.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. One thing that I will for sure add, as listeners of the podcast will know, is I love blood, but in a good way. And this movie was very brutal, BROOTAL, and gory because,
there wasn't that much blood in it.
well,
There was a fuck ton of oil, though. Holy shit.
yeah, is oil not blood for machines?
No.
No.
Well, now it is. And there was a lot of it. And even though you're right, there wasn't a ton of blood because the janitor don't bleed. But I do
Except
agree.
for the one time when he covers it up with duct tape and then again on his eviscerated fucking chest.
Duct tape goes on everything.
Yeah, actually, that was the origin of duct tape. They used it back during the Civil War to cover soldiers' wounds.
They did that and tampons.
1000% tampons, that's correct. What Justin said, complete bullshit.
No, bro, it was Sergeant William Duct.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was taping together the plans to secure the South's rise again, but, that never happened, so...
Well,
No, he
actually,
fought for the North.
he did.
Oh, okay.
But he was kidnapped, which is actually where we also get the word abduct.
Ah, I like it.
Again, just complete and utter
But
nonsense.
that's why Nick Cage put it on his abs.
Yes.
Because it's abduct.
Exactly. It's like a triple entendre.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a fucking
History, man.
stroke.
But that being said, I liked the animatronics. I liked the way they looked. And I appreciated just the way they moved around.
What was the most uncanny one for y'all? For me, it was Sarah Siren.
Yep.
Sarah Siren?
Same.
I think it's because she was the one who is the most human. Like, it's very clearly just a person with a, more flesh-colored headpiece. The rest of them do fully look more like toys. But she's a whole-ass person with a fucked-up face.
Yeah, that and she moved extremely quickly,
Yes.
Yeah.
which is very un-animatronic and even unhuman. So that kind of added to the uncanniness, I think.
The word lithe springs to mind.
Fast as fuck, boy!
Indeed. Now, let's go ahead and take it to the sound. Dan, how do you think this one sounded?
Some badass music in it.
Yeah.
This is a movie where Nick Cage fucks people up a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and the soundtrack is that. Just imagine whatever soundtrack you hear in your head is probably what happens. So I like the soundtrack. It was cool. There were a couple good Foley effects in there too, like when he's fighting the gorilla with the plunger, and he hits the gorilla thing, and it's like boink, boink.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
That was. Now, Nico, on the other side, obviously this being like a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese, the animatronics do sing songs. There was once or twice where you were like, nope, go into that a little bit.
I mean, okay, so my suspension of disbelief was, I don't want to say thwarted, but just the fact that we are so soon, almost immediately met with violence in this movie, and Nick Cage deals with it, or the janitor deals with it right then and there, but he doesn't just immediately finish the job with the rest of them. Why is he pretending that this isn't all gonna go and break bad really fucking quick?
Yes, but about the sound though.
Oh, right, the sound. I will say, look, man, I just had a fire in my chest that was burning, and I needed to get it
That's
out.
okay. That's okay. I get it.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yo, fuck your neighbors. Anyway, I will say one thing in particular that I loved about the sound is the sort of 80s ballad that was rocking away during the one pinball scene when it was just super neon and flashy, and it was just an absolutely immaculate track. One of the best ballads I've ever heard.
I really liked that as well. And one other thing I liked is obviously Free Bird is kind of an iconic song,
Yeah.
but I think during the end, they timed the shots really well because some of the lyrics applied to the janitor, but other lyrics applied to Liv because she kind of spent her whole life. She said she felt like a ghost, locked away, haunted by. Quick backstory, dear listener. She was a child who somehow survived a night in there, like in Willy's Wonderland, and her parents were slaughtered, and the sheriff adopted her. But she never really was happy. So, yeah, I'm glad that Freebird applied to both of them. I thought it was a pretty fitting choice for the end, to be honest. Now,
Also, real quick, shout out to, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation here and I apologize, but Emoy,
Yeah.
I think, was
Yeah.
the person who did most of the original composition, I think I saw in the credits. Shout out to you because that was a really, really good job.
indeed, indeed, indeed. So, first and foremost, Nico, viewers of this might find a similarity between the antagonists of this and another product. What is that?
Yeah, so it's not even subtle. This is basically Five Nights at Freddy the movie, but probably a whole lot better than the actual Five Nights at Freddy movie, which I have heard is notoriously some dog shit. But the whole premise of that game, in case you're not hip, is you are paid to basically be a security guard for a restaurant much like Willy's Wonderland, and you are basically monitoring their actions and make sure they don't get into murder at you. And the series and genre as a whole really got into notoriety and fame around, I want to say, the late 2000s, early 2010s, with streamers like, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. They would do tons of streams of this stuff, and it all became like really famous and just in the forefront of a lot of like pop culture where gaming was centered. So it makes sense that we would see a movie that is more or less trying to recreate that. And for what it's worth, they didn't stick to the script 100% in being like a complete one-for-one ripoff. So I do appreciate the originality that it did have.
I didn't realize that Five Nights at Freddy was that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. It's fucking, I think, over a decade old at this point.
That's nuts. So, Dan, I want to talk to you real quick. Did you mind the kind of generic backstory of this one? Because there is a backstory, but I mean, they spend maybe 5 minutes max on it.
Not at all. I loved it. I think I've said this in a previous episode, but oftentimes I don't think you need a big backstory, and like especially for like slashers and things similar to this.
Mm-hmm.
Person killing people, scary enough. That's all I need to know. Like in some cases, yes, of course, there's some films should have a more involved backstory, but this movie is supposed to be fun, and you're not supposed to think. And in fact, if you think you're gonna fuck it up, I guess. I don't know. But so I just feel like not having a involved backstory works to the credit of this film.
I actually agree with you a lot, to be honest. I think the same thing. Something like this didn't need to have a crazy backstory. The fun of it is just the wild moments, to be honest.
I just want to intercede here and say I thought wrong, because Five Nights at Freddy's came out in 2014, so it is almost exactly a decade old, but still quite a while.
Indeed, indeed. But how'd you care about the backstory, though?
I think it was... I laughed when the obligatory exposition dump happened, but it was done, charismatically. I liked Liv as a character, and I also felt a little bit of camaraderie with her frustration when she was telling him all this, and the janitor, like, very clearly does not give two shits about anything that she's saying. He's just, like, busy cleaning. So that itself was pretty humorous. So I think coupling the sort of frustration there, like the clear disconnect that she's having with the severity of their situation, made it more bearable as opposed to just being a generic lore dump.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense for sure. Now, let's go ahead and talk about our pro tag, the guy who's not afraid to wrangle an ostrich, the janitor.
Yo, an ostrich will straight fuck you up. They're
Yeah.
huge, man.
I've literally taken down an ostrich before.
No, you literally have not.
Okay, bro. You don't know what I've seen.
Those are two completely different statements, man.
Dan, let me ask you this. There's something we have not mentioned yet about the janitor, an extremely defining trait. Talk about it.
Well, I think that trait is his lack of voice.
Indeed.
He doesn't talk at all in this film, which I thought was interesting and kind of cool, I guess, because I think we said a couple times in the synopsis that he just doesn't really give a fuck. And he just, like, people are like, oh, there's things killing people here. You should leave. And he's like, meh, whatever. And his not talking aspect, one, reminds me of old school JRPG.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't know. I thought it was just kind of cool. Like, kind of, again, going back to the backstory type of thing. You don't need a whole lot in a movie like this. So him not having dialogue is fine.
Agreed, 1,000%. Nico, what'd you think about the janitor?
So I appreciated the fact that he was a different character from what I'm used to, but I'm sad I didn't get to hear Nick Cage say any cool one-liners. This would have been such a great movie for it, like, Wonderland, more like... And then he says something cool.
Okay.
I mean, we can't be as cool as Nick Cage, so
No.
give you a
Yeah.
pass on that.
Yeah, no. And we have speculated. I don't know if there's any like lore or discussions about this online, but the three of us have speculated that the janitor could potentially be autistic. One, because he is nonverbal, but two, he has a particular special interest in pinball to the point that when Liv is fighting one-on-one against Sarah Siren, or excuse me, let me back up. Originally, it was the two of them, the janitor and Liv, fighting Sarah Siren, but then his watch goes off and he's like, all right, time for break. And he like pats her on the shoulder and hands her a knife and he's like, good fucking luck, I guess.
Yeah, I forget if that was the siren or the chameleon.
I don't think it was a siren. I don't remember who it was, but
one
regardless,
of
it's
them.
It
still-
was
yeah.
it was one of the two, but yeah, there's a possibility there. He's also like hyper fixated on following instructions.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Because the guy told him to be sure to take regular breaks,
So he does.
And he did.
and he feels almost like,
Duty bound.
yeah, like he has to take those breaks. Otherwise something bad might happen. And whenever anyone asks him anything, he just stares at them. And they kind of take what they want from that. And I think the only time we really see the janitor do something truly unprompted is when he gives Liv that soda.
Yeah.
Because he feels bad for her maybe a little bit, and because he loves that soda. He loves it to the point that he carries around like 2 crates of it in his trunk. And he brought it with him to the job, and like, that might be all he drinks, bro, to be honest with you. But
It's Bonner's Bountain Boo.
R.I.P. to dude's kidneys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
yeah, well, he is also extremely tough. I got to give it to him.
Yeah.
These animatronics are so strong that they're able to like punch people's torsos off. And then
Yeah.
and then he just walks up and boxes them. Like at one point in time,
He
he's like,
fucking headbutts 2 of them while handcuffed and then just flexes out of the handcuffs.
and then he also at one point when he's like taking out the trash, 2 of them get in his way, and he just bops them one
Yeah.
and walks down the
Keeps
hallway.
going.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, it's to the point where I almost speculate that he could potentially be some kind of angel or something sent to get rid of those
He's
things.
like One Punch Man, but with hair.
Yeah, potentially. Now, I want to go ahead and ask you both, how do you feel about the general tone of this movie? We're obviously a horror podcast, and we have reviewed horror that is more comedic, obviously stuff like Troll 2. But I want to know, is this a horror comedy? Is this a comedy horror? Action? What is this?
I think it's all three. It's comedy, horror, action, camera action,
Yes.
action, whatever. It's definitely all three to me. There's a ton of fighting, and not just literal action, but the way it's shot is very action
Yeah.
based, or action like. Comedy, it's interesting because there's not comedy in the film, but the film is comedic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
there's no jokes, there's no punchlines, there's nothing comedic happens aside from the way it's shot and the way it's portrayed, I think, mostly anyways. But yeah, to me, all three.
Nico, is it balanced? Is there one that sticks out to you more?
It's just kind of stupid overall. Like, it is very slapstick. You know, we get the alligator one. I can't remember his name or any of them except for Sarah and Willy, to be frank. But there is a scene where we've got two lovebirds who are off fucking in this super happy fun time room, and that's the actual name of it. That's not like me coming up with something on the fly, but like obviously they're going to die, right? And they should know that. Why anyone would ever go and get it on in a place where there was a satanic ritual is beyond me. And if that's you, get help. You clearly fucking need it.
Hit me at 7.
Oh man.
Nico, there's a graveyard like a block that way. If you want, we can.
This is why you get these ads, Justin.
Oh, yeah, dear listener, by the way, this is a podcast we're doing in person. Peek behind the screen.
We're not slacking or. Never mind.
Well, we're definitely not slacking. We're being efficient with our fucking time.
Being very efficient with our time.
I think it is mostly comedy. I didn't take this seriously at all, and I didn't really. I also didn't really think it was that scary. Like, I don't know about the two of you. There wasn't any like real jump scares or anything. It was all, with a couple of exceptions, most of the scenes were well lit. There's one part where one of the more like bookish types in the friend group is facing off against the mariachi one and Sarah Siren, and there's this whole like flickering lens. It's like, oh, she's moving in between the frames. Oh man, like she's got fucking ultra instinct or something. So like, I wasn't ever really scared. So I would say more so comedy than anything.
For me, it's almost like the video game Doom. If you were in that situation, you'd be scared shitless. But if
I was Doomslayer, nah, bro.
Well, that's the thing. If you're the Doomslayer,
Nick Cage is the
Yeah.
janitor.
he
He don't give a fuck.
He really doesn't.
They literally even say it. Liv tells the sheriff, she's like, he's not trapped in here with them. Like, they're trapped in there with him. They can't really hurt him. They do, like, mess him up a little bit, but he just liberally uses duct tape and moves on with his day.
This man could find degreaser and all these other cleaning supplies, but couldn't find a first aid kit. Come on.
I don't know why you would have a first aid kit in a murder house.
I mean, it's still a place where you operate business. What if your staff gets hurt?
It was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Band-Aids last a long time.
Oh, we're going to kill people in this house. Let me put stuff here so that they can heal themselves.
I mean, hey, man, if I'm a murderer and I get a paper cut, I'm not going to not treat the paper cut on principle.
Yeah, but they're all animatronics at this point.
Not at first. They were people who, like, he was hiring, you know, like, rapists and criminals and other shit, like murderers.
I hand you this. 20 years ago, there may have been a first aid kit to be found somewhere in the building, but after they agreed to kill people in the building, they have possibly removed it.
Can't fucking work
I
like this.
I don't think first aid kits work on animatronics either, so.
Possibly. Now, I want to ask you both about the non-janitor characters. Liv being the most prominent, but we get some others. We get Bobby,
The Builder.
and some others. How'd you guys feel about them? Were they just fodder, or did they...
Yeah, they
Oh.
were stupid.
Yeah.
Every one of them was stupid.
Every single person, literally all of them, except for Liv. She was more heroic than anything.
Yeah, I mean, they were fine. I mean, the movie is not to be taken seriously and everything. I do kind of wish they strayed a little bit away from some of the quintessential like token characters, I
Yeah.
guess. I just kind of wish they did something like a little bit different, like still maybe keeping those general roles but changing it slightly or something. But I mean, they were fine. Again, like you said, they're kind of fodder. It's whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of like when you get a feeder fish to feed to your big fish, you don't name it
Right.
Right.
because you know what it's there to be. And
Yeah.
that's what these characters pretty much were.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask, there are a lot of scenes you could pick. What was your favorite scene in this movie?
I think my favorite scene was the end when the janitor is like giving the death glare to Tex McAdoo and his little crony as he just walks out while Freebird's playing, just as like the last solemn fuck you.
Okay. Dan?
I think my favorite scene, I don't know, man, that's hard. Maybe when he just like walks down the hallway and boxes up those two and then just keeps walking like nothing happened. I don't know. There's a lot of like good quality scenes.
I'm going to have to say my absolute favorite scene is the one where he's teaming up with Liv against whatever they were fighting. And then his watch goes off because it's break time.
Oh, yeah.
So now he's got to run back and like do the pinball machine. And keep in mind, he's doing the pinball machine, and I'm pretty sure that's when he gets the high score.
Is that when he's dancing too?
Yeah, he's like
Okay,
dancing
okay.
and having a blast and shit. And I'm like, yo, it's one of those. But like, I just really appreciate the fact that like he takes his breaks. Because he said he would. He said he would take his breaks.
Well,
Respect
no,
your
he
own time,
didn't.
y'all.
He didn't say it.
Well, yes. So that being said, I want to move into the what would you do? And I just want to ask, I think as a generality, let's say the three of us are, you know, in a car, we're heading somewhere, and same situation as the janitor. We get tricked. We got to spend the night in Willy's Wonderland. We're trapped, and the animatronics attack. How would we, as a trio, defeat the animatronics?
Fucking handily. Those things are awkward and lumbering. I would just absolutely destroy these fools.
Except for Sarah. Sarah Siren was climbing up the roof, or the like walls are disappearing and shit.
It's
moving
okay,
fast
Justin
as
can
fuck.
fix her.
That's true. Fucking serpentine babu. But I mean, as soon as I saw one do that, I would just fuck them all up immediately. I
Yep.
don't know why they all just kept like staring at the animatronics, knowing that they're gonna try to.
Yeah, again,
them?
like back to the whole central premise of making this pact with the devil or whatever. Like you've got the entire police force that is well equipped to just obliterate these things with just absolute certainty. But no, I'm instead going to make a pact with a puppet devil.
Just kick it.
Just fucking unload your shotgun into it.
Pause.
Pause.
No, don't pause.
no
That
diddy,
is
no
another
diddy.
thing where there were multiple times when characters, usually the janitor, were fighting, sometimes Liv, and they were like, stop. And no, the fucking mariachi bird got back up at the end. Also, side note, how the fuck did that dude, like, instant transmission teleport his way on top of the car?
Remember what I said. Real G's move in silence.
Mic drop.
Actual bike drop.
This movie's so fucking stupid.
And yet, I will agree. I think that honestly, between our inventiveness, honestly, I would have used fire.
Yeah.
I mean, they tried,
No.
and the cops stopped them.
Yeah, well, I would have gone back to that technique once again.
I don't know why the town didn't try fire in the first
Yeah, just
place.
immediately pick up that lighter that they dropped.
A fucking bomb.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I feel like this doesn't give enough credit to America because I don't think a small
Guns.
town is going to back down. Them damn animatronics. I'll show them.
Try this in a small
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I don't think that would get over too hot. But
Bury me with my guns on.
what a song. Can I just say that?
America.
I'll have you know the lines after that are so I can shoot the devil right between the eyes. And if that doesn't represent the best of America, I don't know what does.
Yep. Land of the free.
So I agree. We probably would handily do it. So from there, I guess we really just got to land on the critic review. Where do you guys think this ranks on Rotten Tomatoes from the
Dog
critics?
shit. I'm gonna guess like 48.
I'm gonna say 60.
Dan, you got it.
Hell yeah.
It's a 61 from the critics.
Ooh,
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Now, as far as the audience goes, they were a little more generous with a 67, but on the whole, kind of in agreement. So I want to ask you one general thought about the movie and your score.
General thought, this movie was dumb fun. I liked the dumb part of it, but I wish there was like 2% less dumb. Like I wish there was just a little bit more intelligence behind it, but it was still a lot of fun. I still enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 70. No, I'm going to give it a 80, even 80.
As I've said a couple times, this movie's dumb. I had fun, but like Dan said, I wish it was just like a degree or two less asinine. I love Nick Cage, though. The action was great. I'm a fan of the overall vibes, despite the CSI Miami aesthetics. I'll give it a 75.
Dan, I'm actually right there with you. I would put this at an 80. To me, this is a very enjoyable movie. And I think it's something that even non-horror fans might like, Where, hey, it's action, it's got a little bit of horror to it, but they could. I mean, Bonnor, who is not the biggest horror guy, loves this movie. So, yeah, 80 for me. Now, would we recommend this to our viewers?
I think so. With the caveat that, like you said, it's not, well, I don't actually know if you just said this, but it's not, it's not strictly horror. So if you're looking for a horror movie, I would say maybe no. But just general recommendation outside of like horror, it's a good movie. So I say yes, if that's not confusing.
It's obviously going to get the recommend from me. Nico, where you at?
Do you, listener, be honest with yourself. Like, take a moment, center yourself, think about what you like and what you live for. Do you want to see Nick Cage beat up a bunch of dumbass Muppet puppet possessed things? You probably do. Yeah, I recommend it.
Well, there you go. But probably not going to get the golden seal from us here today.
No. No.
Yeah, I agree.
If I had more lens flares, then maybe.
I know we've said this like a lot. I cannot emphasize how often the lens flares occur. It is obscene. Almost every other scene, in fact, and it's not a joke. You might think I'm being hyperbolic, but no. J.J. Abrams would fucking blush.
So yeah, there you have it, dear listener. This is going to get the recommend from us, but it's not going to get the coveted golden seal. With that being said, we would love to know your thoughts on this movie. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like us? Do you not like us? Check yes or no on the note.
Would this qualify for Badgical?
Ooh. I didn't even think
it is
about that.
Dumb.
It's
really
real dumb.
stupid, so
So bad it's good.
I want to include it, but I feel like... So, the characters are dumb, but they're not, like, Troll 2 dumb.
yeah. I think it's so bad it's good, but I don't think it's so bad it's magical.
I agree, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Good shout, though. Good shout.
Great shout. And listeners, shout us out as well. We're on X and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're also on Facebook. That's Don't Open That Door. Plus, you catch everything we've done on our website, which is dotdhorror.com. And if you like us, don't like us, are ambivalent, or hate us, I think that's pretty much everything you could possibly feel. Hit us up. Share the word.
Could be in love with us.
I'm not ready for that.
I mean, same, but they could be.
But you can fix it with a like, share, or follow. So,
And probably
remember...
some flex tape.
Yeah. So remember, dear listener, look out for one another. Steer clear of abandoned, haunted, possessed satanic animatronics.
Don't fucking use duct tape on wounds.
And as always, dear listener,
Don't listen to Justin.
and don't open that door. Bye.